starting soon. Come watch the Rabbit, let's watch the Rabbit, bringing entertainment to me and you. Come watch the Rabbit, let's watch the Rabbit, it's not hard to do. Get ready because the stream is starting now.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another JRabbit87 stream. I'm your host, JRabbit87, and I hope everybody is having a good day today. And I hope you're ready for some more wrestling action with the Rabbit Wrestling Federation. But of course, before we get into that, let's get into our commands. Of course, as always, we'll skip through most of these and just kind of do a quick version here at the beginning and do a much longer version at the end of the stream. So with that said, as always, we're sponsored by our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. We also want to say a huge thank you to everybody that joins us today. If you need some links, here are some links, starting with our link to Discord, and then, of course, a link to YouTube, and a link to TikTok, with, of course, ending with ways to help support the stream right here and right now. Always keep in mind, nothing is ever required, but everything's very much appreciated. Yeah. We've got 10 action-packed matches for you guys. We've got some interesting stuff going on. And, of course, this is all towards the road to the biggest RWF event of the year, Rabbit Mania. So yeah, without further ado, we get into our first match here. So as you may or may not know, Candice LeRae has won the number one contendership spot to the RWF Women's European Championship. Now, we have also learned an interesting situation with Candice LeRae's friend, Indy Hartwell. Unfortunately for Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, her contract will be ending soon. So Indy Hartwell will no longer be an RWF or on the RWF roster for very much longer. So before she leaves, while she still has a chance to compete here in RWF, Indy Hartwell has agreed that on her last match here in RWF, she will team with her pal Candice LeRae to take on Piper Niven and Chelsea Green. And that match happens first and happens next.
The following contest is a tag team match scheduled for one fall. On their way to the ring, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, the way.
And here they come, the way. And yes, you heard me correctly, this will be Indy Hartwell's last match here in RWF. here they come, the current Women's European Champion, Chelsea Green, and her best friend Piper Niven, who is a former Women's European as well as a former Women's World Champion. And it looks like it'll be starting with Candice LeRae and Piper Niven. LeRae getting a victory over Piper Niven on our last episode of RWF, getting some much needed momentum heading into her title match at Rabit Mania, where she'll face Chelsea Green to try to take the Women's European Championship away from Chelsea Green. And of course, as much as that means, there's a tag out to Chelsea Green. Of course, as much as that means to Candice LeRae, this has also got to be a very upsetting night, knowing that her friend Indy Hartwell, who she has teamed up with on and off again here in RWF, this will be her last night as an RWF active member of the roster. This, of course, coming because of those that massive amount of people being let go from their contracts here in RWF by the board of directors. And there's the tag to Indy Hartwell. As always, we wish Indy Hartwell the best in her future endeavors, but what a way to go, getting one last chance to showcase her skills for you guys, the Rabit Rangers, the fans of RWF, as well as helping her friend get perhaps a little bit more momentum towards her title match at Rabit Mania. Ten count to the heads. Massive boot there by Hartwell. Piper Niven trying to attack Candice LeRae, and Indy trying to help out and paying for her. Massive DDT there by Hartwell, but it's on the outside of the ring. As these two fight here on the outside of the ring, remember that the tag team match can only end via knockout out here on the outside. Front forward electric chair drop by Piper Niven. Looking for a cover. Only a 2 count. Tagging into Candice LeRae now. Massive tag team move, by the way, into the cover, but Chelsea Green is right there to break it up. Tag back out to Indy Hartwell. Reverse after reversal as Piper Niven and Indy Hartwell continue to battle here on the outside of the ring. Massive power bomb into the swing, into the side of the ring. And now Niven goes after LeRae. That was enough of a distraction for Indy Hartwell to get back on top, and there's a tag into Candice LeRae. And LeRae going for the wicked stepsister. She hits it. Could this be the end for Piper Niven? Instead of going for a cover, LeRae inflicted a little bit more punishment. There's a tag into both Chelsea Green and Indy Hartwell. Rough Rider hit, went for the cover, but LeRae breaks up the pinfall attempt, and now Chelsea Green went for the I'm Pretty Her, but was blocked. Back and forth action between these ladies. Massive move by Hartwell into the cover, but Niven breaks it up. Unpretty Her by Chelsea Green into the cover. And a kick out of 2. Big move there into the cover. And a kick out at 2. Tag into Piper Niven. Piper driver by Piper Niven into the cover. And that's it.
Here are your winners, the team of Piper Niven and Chelsea Green.
Well, not a good night for the number 1 contender. Not a good night for the number 1 contender. And definitely not a good night for Indy Hartwell's last match here in RWF. Again, we wish her all the luck in her future endeavors. And you know that she'll be watching her friend as Chelsea Green, or as as Chelsea Green defends the European Championship against Candice LeRae at Rabbit Mania. Well, speaking of number 1 contenders, we know that Abyss is the number 1 contender to the Pure Honor Championship, currently held by Terry Funk. Now, Abyss has not put his number 1 contendership on the line, but he has challenged each member of Team Hardcore to face him in one-on-one matches. We saw a very competitive match against the Sandman on our last episode of RWF. And coming up next, he gets his second challenger in the form of Mr. 420, Rob Van Dam.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall, making his way to the ring from parts unknown, weighing in at 350 pounds. He is the monster, Abyss!
Abyss winning that 8-man over the top rope battle royal to earn the opportunity to face Terry Funk for the Pure Honor Championship. He's challenged the individual members of Team Hardcore, which are made up of a bunch of ECW originals. He was able to get a win over the Sandman. Can he continue his victory over Rob Van Dam?
And his opponent, representing Team Hardcore from Battle Creek, Michigan, weighing in at 235 pounds, Rob Van Dam!
Yes, a few I almost want to say about a month or so ago, Terry Funk started teaming up with New Jack, calling themselves the Originals, as they were both ECW originals. Then they changed the game by bringing in the Sandman and Rob Van Dam, now calling themselves Team Hardcore. Now, despite them being known as Team Hardcore and both of these men known for hardcore stuff, this is not a hardcore match. This is not. There is very much indeed disqualification. Talk about your power versus speed match right here. It's exactly what we have. The monster powerhouse Abyss versus the high flying extremist RVD. And of course, we also can't talk about Rob Van Dam without mentioning when we had the vacated United States Championship and the fact that Rob Van Dam made it all the way to the finals before finally losing to Damian Priest. 2 count by Abyss, and now Abyss setting up. Abyss trying to go for the black hole slam, but Rob Van Dam able to reverse out of it. Five-star frog splash by Rob Van Dam, but only a 2 count. Rob Van Dam using his speed and agility to his advantage here. With a count of 5, these two need to be careful. The count out is a thing here. Count of 8. There's a black hole slam into the cover. And a kick out of 2. Abyss going high risk, but it did not equal high reward. Back and forth action between these two men. Rob Van Dam with the Rolling Thunder into the cover. And Abyss kicks out at 2. Rob Van Dam with a second 5-star frog splash into the cover. And another kick out. Leg drop after leg drop, move after move. A third 5-star frog splash by Rob Van Dam. Is this enough to put the monster away? And no, 2.9999. 3 5-star frog splashes, 2 rolling thunders, and that's it.
Here is your winner, Rob Van Dam.
A hard-fought battle, and on this night, Rob Van Dam gets a little bit of revenge for his buddy, the Sandman. Well, you win some, you lose some, and that's exactly what happened with Abyss right there. With that, we move right along as we get back into the War of Momentum. Now, the men's War of Momentum so far, DIY is up 2-0. So, in order to tie things up, both the Usos need to win here tonight. Now, even if they don't, even if Jey Uso does not win, we will still get Jimmy versus Tommaso Ciampa later on in the night, no matter what happens. But it is time to see if Jay can at least attempt to get things tied up. As coming up next, it's Johnny Gargano versus main event Jey Uso.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall, making his way to the ring, representing the Usos from San Francisco, California, weighing in at 242 pounds. Main event, Jey Uso!
Former United States champion Jey Uso looking to finally win the men's tag team championships, reuniting once again with his brother. Some would consider them to be one of the best tag teams. Some would consider them to be one of the worst tag teams. One thing's for sure, the crowd sure does love to yeet.
And his opponent, representing DIY from Cleveland, Ohio, weighing in at 199 pounds, one half of the men's tag team champions, Johnny Gargano.
And here comes Johnny Gargalic of the Ketchup Crew, aka Johnny Gargano of DIY. Former United States champion versus former Intercontinental champion here in this match. And I know I talked about it last episode, but I want to bring up the similarities between these two teams. So, on one hand, you have DIY, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Gargano, who until recently, when they did win the men's tag team championships, had only ever won singles titles, with Tommaso being a former heavyweight champion and Gargano being a former Intercontinental champion. On the other hand, you have the Usos, who are on a very similar situation. Both former singles champions, with Jay being a former United States champion and Jimmy being a former Intercontinental champion. The Usos have yet to win the men's tag team championships. That's the one difference between DIY and the Usos. Because after the Wolfpack was forced to vacate the men's tag team championships, a tournament would be held with DIY ultimately winning and becoming the new men's tag team champions. I do also feel the need to stress here that in order to tie up the war of momentum, Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso need to both win their singles matches here tonight. As of right now, the war of momentum, DIY is 2 victories to 0. Uso trying to size up for that super kick, but Gargano's caught him. And Gargano once again seems to have Uso's number here. Uso trying to size up for that super kick again. And again, Gargano catches him slacking. Johnny Gargano now with the Gargano lock. Will Jay tap out here? No. Jay able to battle out. Super kick by Uso. Third time's the charm. No! Gargano again catches Uso's attempt at that super kick. Spear by Jay into the cover. And a kick out of two. Gargano with a springboard DDT into the cover. And that's it.
Here is your winner,
Well, things are definitely not looking good for the Usos, as Johnny Gargano now makes the war momentum 3-0. Ayo! Just in time to raise my ketchup packet. Welcome in, Bruda. So far, you have missed quite the show. We started off with Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, The Way, versus Piper Niven and Chelsea Green. And fortunately, Piper Niven got the pinfall victory over Indy Hartwell. We also have learned that a few of the firings are. I always miss good stuff these days. Hashtag Dagnabbit. Fair. We also found out that not everybody that is being fired has already been fired. There are a few people whose contracts are running out. With Indy Hartwell, not Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell being one of them. And tonight was Indy Hartwell's last night as an active member of the RWF roster. Now, unfortunately, as her last night, she did lose the tag team match against Piper Niven and Chelsea Green. After that, we saw Rob Van Dam and Abyss in a very competitive match. Perfect match to go out on for her, though. Fair. We saw Abyss and Rob Van Dam in a very competitive match that actually saw Rob Van Dam, after hitting 3 5-star frog splashes and 2 rolling thunders, able to get the pinfall victory over the monster. And then you just now joined us for our third match, where Johnny Gargano beat Jey Uso to make the war momentum 3-0. Now, again, we're still going to get Tommaso versus Jimmy later on tonight. But right now, it is clear to say the war momentum has been won by DIY. Now, we go on over to the women's war of momentum, which is tied 1-1. We'll see who can kind of get the a little bit more momentum, as coming up, Nikki Cross versus Rhea Ripley. And here she comes, the personification of Abby the Witch. Nikki Cross, ever since joining the Wyatt Six, has developed into this probably darkest version of herself that we've seen. She's recently started teaming again with her longtime friend and also Wyatt's sister, Alexa Bliss. Unfortunately, Nikki was unable to win her match against China last episode. Well, now we'll see if Nikki can defeat Rhea Ripley to gain another point of momentum for the Wyatt sisters.
And her opponent, representing the powers of pain, from Adelaide, South Australia, one half of the Women's Tag Team Champions, Rhea
I'm not sure how long it's been since I saw this Nikki entrance, but that was really cool. Right? Like, I like all the entrances that they've given the Wyatt Six. And it really makes me sad that they don't do more with not just the Wyatts, but with Nikki in WWE. And of course, here comes Rhea Ripley, a former two-time Women's European Champion, and actually the very first ever Women's European Champion, and now one half of the Women's Tag Team Championships. She lost her match against Alexa Bliss, but we'll see if she can defeat Nikki Cross. I know the Six is such an interesting and entertaining stable. All the members are interesting in unique ways. Yes, they are. This match has started, and Nikki Cross already trying to get the upper hand, but Rhea not letting her. Back and forth action between these ladies. Remember, whoever ends up winning the War of Momentum, they will get to choose if there is a stipulation for the tag team title match at Rabbit Mania and what that stipulation would be. count of 6, but Nikki Cross not letting this in by count out. Easy kick out there by Cross. And now Rhea Ripley's got the prison break locked in. But she lets go. Perhaps knowing that Nikki wasn't quite ready to tap out. Pinfall attempt by Ripley. And a kick out of 2. Back and forth action, and now Rhea Ripley going for the Riptide. Straight into the cover. And a kick out of 2. Reversal by Cross into a DDT. Massive power by Cross. And now Cross going for that swinging neck breaker. She hits it straight into the cover. And Ripley gets the shoulder up at 2. Now Ripley trying to size up her opponent, but takes just a little bit too much, too long, and Cross able to get the advantage. And now both of these women going to the outside of the ring. Massive elbow drop to from the top rope all the way to the outside of the ring. And now going for a cover inside the ring. And that's it.
Here is your winner, Rhea
I mean, we expected this. Rhea Ripley getting the win here tonight and getting the next point in the War of Momentum for the Powers of Pain, which means that if Alexa Bliss can defeat China, things will be tied up again. But if China can defeat Alexa Bliss, the Powers of Pain will go and will win the War of Momentum. Also, my Bruda, I want to. It's hard to see in the background, but I have a new statue that I got from my job for fairly cheap. We now have. She's a little hard to get. I don't want to. We now have this really cool Harley Quinn statue that I've got in the background here. Again, she's kind of hard to see, but yeah, I wanted to show that for anybody that's got a keen eye that they can kind of see at least the Joker part of it there. Whoa, I bet that was really expensive when it was first bought. That's awesome as heck. Right. Um so yeah, moving right along with our matches. Um as anybody who's been following RWF knows, Finn Balor is a 3-time RWF Intercontinental Champion. And he's kind of weaseled his way into 2 Intercontinental Championship matches. After he lost to Umaga, a stipulation in the contract was invoked. And that stipulation is as long as Umaga is the Intercontinental Champion, Finn Balor cannot, under any circumstances other than winning the Rabbit Rumble, which he did not, other than that, Finn Balor cannot compete for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, this has not stopped Finn Balor from challenging other people and people who are trying to go for the Intercontinental Championship, and that continues tonight as Finn Balor has challenged the newest number 1 contender to a one-on-one match. Balor, of course, has said that this is his way of showing the number 1 contender, hey, if you win against Umaga, I'm next. Because now I can. Long story short, coming up next, Finn Balor versus Pete Dunne.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall. Making his way to the ring, representing New Catch Republic from Birmingham, England, weighing in at 205 pounds, the Bruiserweight, Pete Dunne!
And this will be the Bruiserweight's first real challenge since becoming the number 1 contender. Of course, last episode he teamed up with Tyler Bate to face off against the Street Profits in a winning effort. But Angelo Dawkins is not in the running for the Intercontinental Championship. And although Finn Balor isn't either, he is a former 3-time Intercontinental Champion, so getting a win over him would definitely help the momentum of Pete Dunne going into Rabbit Mania.
And his opponent, representing the Judgment Day, from Bray, County Wicklow, Ireland, weighing in at 190 pounds, Finn Balor!
And here he comes, like I said, former 3-time Intercontinental Champion, but the last 2 of those times, you really got to think about it. The first time, so he becomes Intercontinental Champion, then he loses to Joe Coffey. Aleister Black gets the number 1 contendership spot. Balor convinces Black to go one-on-one with him, with the stipulation that if Balor wins the one-on-one match against Aleister Black and Coffey would become a triple threat match. Balor would win that match, go on to that triple threat match, defeat Aleister Black a second time, and become the that's when he would become 2-time Intercontinental Champion. Then he would lose in a Bloodline Rules match against Jimmy Uso, which would lead an entire feud between the Judgment Day and the Bloodline, with the Judgment Day winning War Games, thus allowing Finn Balor to challenge Jimmy Uso again. He would, Jay would then intervene, winning a match against Balor, making it a triple threat match. And then Balor would go on to defeat Jay to win back the Intercontinental Championship, making him a 3-time Intercontinental Champion. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of the ring, you have Pete Dunne, who is yet to hold any title here in RWF. And you know, he would love nothing more than to defeat the Samoan Bulldozer to become the new champion. But that does beg the question. If he becomes the new champion, that will give Finn Balor all rights to once again challenge for the Intercontinental title. And if you're Finn Balor, what do? Do you continue to go after the Intercontinental title? Or do you put your pride aside? Oh my goodness. I believe Balor just got hit with his own finishing move there. But Balor kicks out at 2. But yeah. If you're Balor, why would you not go after another title? Maybe we should have a sit-down interview with Balor to see what his obsession is with the Intercontinental. What do you guys think? Why do you think Balor continuously goes after the Intercontinental Championship? Balor to the top rope. Went for a standing coup de grace, but missed. I believe he calls that the bitter end. Into the cover. And a kick out of 2. I honestly haven't a clue. Perhaps he's chasing the high of that quick win he had a while ago. I mean, fair. Remember, it was last year at Rabit Mania, the Intercontinental Championship was vacated, and we had an 8-man ladder match that Finn Balor won in 15 seconds. Which, of course, is how Finn Balor won the Intercontinental Championship the first time. It's kind of crazy to think that that was a year ago. Massive top rope diving splash there. Back and forth action between these two highly gifted athletes. Sent out powerbomb by Dunn into the cover, and only a kick. Only a 2 count. Into the cover, and that's it. And on this night, Finn Balor stands tall. And perhaps sending that message, indeed, hey Pete, if you win, I'm coming after you. Well, coming up next, we get back to the War of Momentum, and even though we know that DIY has won, we still are going to get to see it coming up next. The Tomato Chomper versus The One. former Intercontinental Champion versus former Heavyweight Champion about to go down.
And his opponent, representing DIY from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, weighing in at 201 pounds, one half of the men's tag team champions, Tommaso Ciampa.
Looking good, Jimmy. Fair. And here it comes. The Ketchup Crew has already had reason to raise their packets in the air. But can Tommaso Ciampa make it 4? Oh, sorry. Yeah, 4-0. So we did catch up with Jimmy Uso. And we did ask him. We brought up everything. We brought up, hey, Us, you have said after War Games, after Survivor Series, that we would never see the Usos tag up again. That you were done because you believe that you are the one. You even have a shirt that says, I'm the one. And there's no more we the ones because you're the one. You brought up all this stuff, but now you're teaming with your brother again. What's the deal? And he said, you know, you're right. You're 100% right. I did say all that. But I thought about it. I thought long and I thought hard. And you know, as much as me and my brother and me and the bloodline have our differences, and as much as I am tired of it always being about me and my brother and not really being just about me, I really, really want those tag team championships. I don't just want it, Us. I need it. And if there's one man that I want to become men's tag team championships with, it's my brother, Jay. Because I know we've done it in other companies, we can do it here. So while Jay yeets DIY, I'm going to remind that we really are the ones, and we've been the ones and we've been down since day one-ish. Tommaso Ciampa hitting the fairy tale ending. This might be it right here. And that's it.
Here is your winner, Tommaso Ciampa.
Oh yeah, packet is raised. Well, despite the passionate and strong words from Jimmy Uso, the Usos not just have lost the War of Momentum, they have lost a lot. That is 4-0 wins. Things are definitely not looking good for their tag team title match. Well, it is now time to see if the same can be done with China, or if Alexa Bliss is going to tie things up, as it is the Women's War Momentum coming up next.
Mi amor. La manzana podrida. Ay, Carlito.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall. Making her way to the ring, representing the Wyatt Saints from Columbus, Ohio, Alexa Bliss.
And here she comes, the woman that I have referred to as always the bridesmaid, but never the bride. She has been in the #1 contendership spot several times, but when it comes to actually winning the title, she just can't seem to get the job done.
And her opponent, representing the powers of pain, from Redondo Beach, California, one half of the Women's Tag Team Champions, the ninth wonder of the world, China!
And definitely an uphill battle for Alexa Bliss, former 3-time Women's World Champion, and now one half of the Women's Tag Team Champions. Okay, I just had a sneaking suspicion. I had to double check some of my facts, and I do have to apologize. I am sorry, I have been lying about China. She is a 2-time Women's World Champion, not 3-time. Yeah, I'm just looking at the past now. She beat Lita, and then Oh yeah. Then when we came back, she won that tournament to win the championship again. Tilt a World DDT by Alexa Bliss. Back and forth action between these ladies. Each one knows what's at stake here. Alexa Bliss with the twisted bliss from the top rope into the cover. And a kick out at two. High cross body from the top rope. Looking for a cover. And it's still not enough to put the ninth wonder of the world away. Big move combination, but despite that onslaught, China is still able to stay in this match. Sister Abigail DDT into the cover, and that's it.
Here is your winner, Alexa.
And Alexa Bliss able to get the win here tonight, tying up the War of Momentum. Alexa Bliss able to tie up the War of Momentum 2-2. Well, ladies and gentlemen, next up, we have a bit of an interesting thing. So, if you haven't been paying attention to Discord, then let me announce it here and now. Although I'm sure I announced it before, I am going to announce it again. So, as some of you may know, we are without an authority figure in RWF right now. The president, Tony Marcus Jones, was suspended and stripped of all of his authority powers. To take his place while he was under investigation, the board of directors assigned an anonymous general manager. Now, that general manager has done some really cool stuff and they did some really not so cool stuff. And the board of directors fired the anonymous general manager. Since that firing, the board of directors have kind of haphazardly been trying to put matches together and give us a good quality show, which they've been doing a decent job so far. But of course, they need somebody to run the day to day operations. So, it has been announced that at Rabbit Mania, an 8-person Falls Count Anywhere elimination match will take place. And the 8 potential candidates who want the position of authority figure in RWF have the ability to either enter themselves or an active member of the RWF roster into that 8-person Falls Count Anywhere match. With whoever wins, or whoever they picks wins, that will give them the authority figure position for what seems to be the foreseeable future. So they will be in control. The candidates actually have changed a little bit. The candidates are Adam Pearce, Nick Aldis, Tony Marcus Jones, Paul Heyman, Triple H, a man named Baron Blade, the anonymous general manager, and Eric Bischoff. Now, most of these guys have not said, or girls, because we're not sure if who the anonymous general manager is, but most of them have not said whether they are going to have a representative or if they are going to be in the match themselves, except for the anonymous general manager. The anonymous general manager has declared that they will have a representative. They, obviously being anonymous, are choosing not to compete inside the match, and instead will have a active member of the roster compete for them. They have chosen 6 participants who will battle in our next match in a 6-man over the top rope battle royal. And those 6 men, whoever wins, will go on to Rabbit Mania to represent the anonymous general manager. This battle royal comes up next. Woo! Battle royal hype.
It's a new day, yes it is!
The following is a 6-man battle royal. Making his way to the ring, representing the
what I've understood, the only thing that the anonymous general manager had to do was pick 3 fan favorites and 3 bad guys that the fans aren't favored of. That was the only instructions that apparently the anonymous general manager was given.
And his opponent, first, representing Pretty Deadly from Seasonal Residencies, weighing in at 212 pounds, Tyler Breeze.
So, here comes Tyler Breeze, who recently got a title shot after defeating Kevin Owens. He was unable to win that title, but he's a former Pure Honor champion in his own right. So I could see why and of course Xavier was a former Intercontinental and Men's Tag Team champion, so I can see why the anonymous general manager would want either one of these guys to represent them at Rabbit Mania.
From Preston, England, weighing in at 246 pounds, Wade Barrett.
And the bearer of bad news apparently is another pick from the anonymous general manager. I mean, what better person to represent you than a former bare knuckle brawler and a guy who's used to delivering bad news.
From Blackpool, England, weighing in at 240 pounds, William Regal.
Well, here comes a man who, although he's never held a title here in RWF, he knows a thing or two about being a commissioner and a general manager. Perhaps that's why the anonymous general manager has chosen him as a potential representative.
Representing the New Day from Tampa, Florida, weighing in at 285 pounds, Big E.
Now, it looks like Xavier Woods has a little bit of backup here tonight, as Big E is in this match. I honestly have no idea why the anonymous general manager would choose Big E, but hey, gotta go big, I guess. Another man who knows a thing or two about running the show from behind the scenes. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Imagine if he, I can only imagine that if he wins, how much favors the anonymous general manager is going to owe him. As this six-man over-the-top rope battle royal begins, get your votes in now. One of these six men will go on to Rabbit Rumble to represent the anonymous general manager in that 8-person Falls Count Anywhere match. Determine who will be in charge of RWF. The original villain, William Regal, the first one eliminated from this match. And there goes at least one half of the members of the New Day in this match. And with Prince Pretty's elimination, we are now down to 3.
Dusty Rhodes has been eliminated.
Excuse me, down to 2. As is Big E versus Wade Barrett. And I'm afraid I've got some bad news, as Wade Barrett has won this match. You guys excuse me. I need to make sure that I get Wade Barrett added to. Go. Cool. All right. Well, coming up next, it is time for our semi main event of the evening as Becky Lynch has challenged the friend of Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall. Making her way to the ring from Dublin, Ireland, the Becky Lynch.
I must be right back, but I'll be back in time for the main event for sure. All right, Brutus, safe travels. Becky Lynch, the number one contender for Jade Cargill's Women's United States Championship. She was able to defeat the number one contender, Victoria, who's going after the Women's World Championship on our last episode.
I'm on my own against the world. They hear me roar, and now we say I'm way better than before. I need a you. I'ma watch you fall down. I'm living large now. I never needed you.
Bianca Belair being challenged here tonight has actually made a bit of a statement that although she still considers Jade a friend, she doesn't really want to tag with Jade anymore. She wants to focus on just being a singles star. So the Powerbuff Girls are officially a thing of the past. Bianca Belair starting off strong, but Becky Lynch already able to counter. And Belair in a precarious position here. As I said last episode, Becky Lynch able to defeat the number one contender to the Women's World Championship via count out. As a disarm her. The power of Belair on display here. Bianca Belair, another woman that you could really honestly give that same Alexa Bliss treatment to. The bridesmaid, always the bridesmaid, but never the bride. She has won numerous number one contendership spots. Has challenged for. There's the manhandle slam. Into the cover. And a kick out at 2. But as I was saying, she's challenged for multiple championships, but it always seems to come up short when it comes to actually winning the title. Meanwhile, Becky Lynch is a former Women's World Champion. So she's been to the mountaintop before. These two fighting back here on the outside of the ring, and this is where they both got to be careful. It should also be noted that Becky Lynch's number one contendership spot is not on the line in this match, though you know that her confidence will have to be shook if she loses this match. As the action returns inside the ring. Submission hold, but able to get out of it. Big scoop slam by the man. Went for a diving leg drop, but Bianca got out of the way. Going for the KOD, but Becky Lynch able to block it. A second manhandle slam into the cover. And that's it. And Becky Lynch getting yet another win here tonight and gaining even more momentum as she heads to Rabbit Mania, where she'll face Jade Cargill for the RWF Women's United States Championship. Well, coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, it is our main event of the evening as the both of the winners of the men's and women's 2025 Rabbit Rumbles and the number one contenders to the women's world and men's heavyweight championships, Victoria and Montez Ford, will team up to face the team of the current champions, Tyler Bate and Natalia.
When I was younger, hard times remember me. You took it all away, I give it all away. Can't take my freedom, here to change the game, a better way to play. I built my kingdom, now you bow to me. You took my dreams but not my name. You'll follow me till the end. I am my kingdom. Lights go down, I'm ready now. Tear this roof off for the town. Gonna give them what they came to see. Hear the crowd on the top.
I ain't the lady to mess with.
The following contest is a tag team match set for one fall. Introducing first, from Los Angeles, California, Victoria!
And here she is, the winner of the Women's 2025 Rabbit Rumble and the current number one contender to the Women's World Championship.
And her partner, representing the Street Profits from Chicago, Illinois, weighing in at 232 pounds, Montez Ford!
And here he is, the winner of the 2025 Men's Rabbit Rumble, former three-time men's tag team champion, and of course the number one contender to the RWF Heavyweight Championship.
And from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, the Women's World Champion, Natalia!
The very first ever Women's World Champion, now a two-time Women's World Champion, and she says she's not looking to lose it anytime soon. And of course, this man defeated Ludwig Kaiser to become the new heavyweight champion. And then, of course, last episode, him and his friend Pete Dunne were able to successfully defeat Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins when he used his airplane spin to knock out Angelo Dawkins in the main event. And this match starts out with the women's world champion and the number one contender for her title starting this match out. Now this is of course an RWF style tag team match, which means that these ladies can tag into their male counterparts and the men can indeed fight the ladies and the ladies can indeed fight the men. There are no disqualifications, no ring countouts, no rope breaks. The only way to win is inside the ring via pinfall, submission, or knockout, or you can win via knockout outside the ring. And of course, you do have to tag in your partner, and only the legal partner, the legal person in the ring, or a legal person can get the deciding pinfall, submission, or knockout. Tag out to Tyler Bate. And there's the tag to Montez Ford. I know when I bring this up, people love to bring up that Rey Mysterio was a heavyweight champion, but it surprises me and is just so very wow to me that Tyler Bate and Montez Ford are going to be competing over the heavyweight championship. Tag out to Natalya. Of course, Montez Ford might be losing here. There's a sharpshooter locked in, but Victoria able to break it up. Montez Ford never has won a singles title here in RWF, but he is indeed a former 3-time men's tag team champion. Bate versus Montez is totally unexpected, but that's why I love it. Fair. A reminder that we only have one more week. We have next week. And then after that is Rabit Mania. Tag out to Victoria. So we have one more regular week of RWF. And then Rabit Mania after that. Massive DDT by Bates into the cover. Only a 1 count. Black Widow by Victoria, or I'm sorry, Widow's Peak by Victoria into the cover, but only a 2 count. And now Victoria trying again, feet on the ropes, but only a 1 count. I remember when I first started doing these mixed gender tag team matches with the ability to actually have the men and women fight each other. I was actually a little worried that people were going to get upset. But so far, everybody's been pretty cool about it. And the women have proven that they are just as tough as the guys. I'm glad nobody got upset. Mixed matches are fun, IMO, right? Close call there, but no cigar. Tyler Bate with a Boston Crab, but Montez Ford easily able to get out of it. Tagging into Victoria. Schoolboy pin, but not even a 1 count. A second Widow's Peak into the cover. And that's it.
Here are your winners, the team of Victoria and Montez Ford.
A good night for the challengers. Woo! As they get a big momentum going into Rabbit Mania. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our show for the evening. Uh, dang it. Well, it says that we are. Uh oh. Okay. Good. Okay. I thought for a second there we were frozen. um well, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, that is does conclude our show for the evening. We should be live again this coming Sunday, and we should, I'm almost 100% certain, be doing Pokemon Go. I know I've said that, or yeah, I know I've said that in the past, but there should be no reason why, unless I just get sick. If I get sick, if I'm too tired or whatever, yeah, that might cancel stream. But I'm really gonna try not to cancel stream. So yeah, keep just in case, keep a hold of Discord. Um, that's where, of course, I will make the official announcement if I do have to. But as of right now, we should be live this coming Sunday with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, 7 p.m. Central Time. I hope you guys join me for that win. And if it happens, for now, we're going to go ahead and get into our commands. I'm going to let you guys go for the evening. As always, we are sponsored by our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He has blessed both me and my wife extremely greatly. We want to make sure that we return his blessings by giving him all the honor, glory, credit, and praise that he rightfully deserves. We also want to say a huge thank you. Thank you to everybody that joined me today. It means so much to me that you guys take time out of your busy days to come and hang out with me. Of course, a huge thank you also goes to our supporters, starting with my hashtag wonderful wife, Firebirdton, our amazing friends Nick and T, as well as our other friends Steve, Sean, and Danny, as well as our two digital artists responsible for our artwork, Amon Wolf of CNH Podcast and Z Fire Incorporated. Thank you all so much. Discord. We have one of those. If you have not joined our Discord and you would like to, feel free to grab that link right there and come join us. We've got tons of chat rooms. That's where important announcements are announced, decisions are decided, discussions are discussed, wrestling results are resulted, chats are chatted, and honestly, we just love to have you there. Another place that we'd love to have you is over on YouTube. If you'd like to check out our past live streams or highlight videos, you can grab that link there and join us over on the Red app. Now, since it's all free and another way to help support the stream, if you don't mind, while you're over there, give the channel a subscribe, hit the bell icon to keep yourself notified, give the videos a like, and give them a comment because comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. You can also find us over on TikTok, where we just have our highlight videos. So you can grab that link, and while you're over there, if you don't mind, again, since it's all free and another way to help support, give the channel a follow, give the videos a heart, and give them a comment because comments are also good for the TikTok algorithm. Last, but certainly not least, are ways to help support the stream right here, right now, if you would like to do so. Always keep in mind that nothing is ever required, but everything is very much appreciated. With that, more information on how you can help the stream is in the chat, so feel free to read that at your leisure, and remember to do only what you're able and comfortable with doing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've had just as much fun as I have, because I've had fun tonight. And I hope to see you guys on Sunday. As of tonight, I'm JRabbit87, and I hope you all have a very good